your name or your area code. Just state your name and where you're calling from, and try to limit it to one or two questions at tops. Let's start out with California. 310 is the area code. Please state your name and where you're calling from. Your line is open. 310.
Bryce from Los Angeles.
Good evening, Bryce. You're on the phone with KingJordan and Kirk Nurmi. Questions?
Hey, I actually have 4 questions, but I know I can't ask all 4 of them, so I'll just skip to the 2. I just have some questions, Mr. Nurmi, about trial strategy. When you got the case, I think you must have thought that you had a losing hand, but I thought the prosecution gave you just an enormous gift when they changed their theory that she shot him first to she stabbed him first, which to me, if you just use logic and common sense and even the physical evidence, just could not have been true. And I'm wondering, why didn't you focus on that one thing? You could have brought in expert after expert to just destroy that theory, and then you could have done a closing argument that said, look, isn't it reasonable doubt that I've just now destroyed the prosecution's theory of the case?
Well, I would say for several reasons that you don't know about, that your question is based on a faulty premise, on several faulty premises.
Okay, well, then that leads into my next one, is that maybe you didn't look at the physical evidence close enough, or maybe you didn't bring in enough experts to advise you on that. I mean, just for an example, the wounds on his back, on the victim's back, Travis Alexander, those are clearly slash wounds that come from the side and not north-south strike wounds, which indicates to me that at some point in their struggle, she was on her back and he was on top of her. That's the only way you get those slash-type wounds. It seems to me that would have backed up her story over the prosecution theory. Did that never come up, or did no one ever advise you on that?
Well, again, sir, you're talking about privileged information, and I would say that your contentions are based on faulty premises again.
Oh, okay, let me ask you one more question. At one point, you said that I don't even like Jodi Arias. Now, how did you think that was going to help her with a jury trial? That one statement, to me, because at that point, what you really needed is for the jury to like Jodi. And for you to tell them you didn't like her, I mean, how would you expect a jury? I mean, I'm just asking for the motivation or strategy behind that question.
I'm
going to talk about that in the next book, but again, your question is based on another faulty premise, that in determining guilt or innocence, that it was up to the jury to like Jodi Arias. The jury was never charged with deciding whether they did or did not like Jodi Arias.
What Tom Mesereau said, that was an excellent strategy, because you were basically, and thanks for the call to our caller from California, what Tom Mesereau said was, since it was done in closing arguments and the way it was said, he thought that was a brilliant strategy, because you're not hiding nothing. You're telling the truth to the jury, and he thought it was a brilliant strategy on your part. And you didn't say it in a malicious way. So I just wanted to get that point over to you, that Mr. Mesereau did indeed like your strategy as far as that is concerned.
Well, and I think the proof is in the pudding in terms of the verdict, and I appreciate Mr. Mesereau. And clearly, Bryce seems to be one of those people that is, what I talk about in my book is part of Jodi's cult.
Okay, let's go out to 510. Please state your name and where you're calling from. Your line is open. 510.
Hi, my name's Catherine. I read Mr. Nurmi's book. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. And the best part about it was things that I had been confused about were made clear. Like, watching the trial, I hadn't understood why. I mean, there was, like, all the text messages, and there was a big focus on the sexual content of them. And I was like, why? How's that relevant? And then reading the book, I understood that it was showing not even so much they were talking about sex, but that they had so much contact, and that he wasn't like, don't talk to me. He kept on discussing things with her. My question is, I didn't understand what the point was about trying to argue whether or not he looked at porn on his computer, that not kid porn, but not, adult porn, and there was a big focus on that, and they had rebuttal and surrebuttal about that. And so I was wondering if Mr. Nurmi could explain to me why that was important.
Well, I mean that jumps all the way, probably more than any place into the second trial in the sentencing phase. And I think one of the things that is looked at in that regard is not just that somebody is looking at pornography, but how they're holding themselves out and what they're doing behind closed doors, and the diversity there, and how that chaos was a part of the relationship.
I guess what I'm not understanding is, why does it matter? Why would that make it more likely that it wasn't premeditated or whatever? How did that affect?
Well, no, I respectfully think you're getting confused, because what you're talking about here, by and large, came out in the second sentencing phase trial, and it came out in relationship to in describing the chaos of the relationship through Dr. Fonseca's testimony.
Okay, so like if you were dating someone and they were telling everybody that you were stalking and stuff, that would kind of make anyone go crazy. I guess is kind of where that's going from, where he was lying to everyone about it, or in
a capital case, you the entire circumstances of the offense and the relationship that the victim and the defendant had has to be described fully for the jury, so they can give consideration to the entire circumstance, and that was part of the circumstance of what was going on between the two of them.
Well, I appreciate you explaining that for me. Thank you.
Sure, you bet. I'm glad you enjoyed the book.
Absolutely. Glad to hear that people are enjoying the book. Let's go out to 714, which is California. Check that. Let me go back again here. Let's go to 714. I'm not sure if this is my friend Sarah or not, but 714, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Sarah from Huntington Beach.
Oh, Sarah, okay. Okay, there's a couple 714s, that's why.
How are you guys
doing? Good evening, Sarah.
Good evening. I'll make it quick. First of all, I want to just ask Mr. Nurmi, and I'm so glad that you're doing well. My sister also has lymphoma, and she's going through the whole process, and so I can relate to what you're going through my sister.
Does she have Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's?
Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay.
Okay, so just quickly on Bill Cosby and the ruling by the judge.
Sure.
I was, it wasn't televised. I read as much as I could about it. I do understand that the judge gave his decision, but is not going to back it up with any written opinion stating his facts as to why he came to that conclusion. I would anticipate that Mr. Cosby's attorneys will appeal this decision. Now, if the appeal gets anywhere, does that kind of force the judge to explain his reasons for giving the decision without his explanation?
I don't think it forces the judge to give an explanation. Cosby's lawyers can ask for it because they're going to appeal, but I don't think a judge is ever, quote-unquote, obligated to give a written ruling. What I think it will do is allow Cosby's lawyers to say that, there's no reasoned judgment behind this opinion, because appellate courts will tend to defer to the trial courts on rulings. They saw the witnesses, that sort of thing. And what Cosby's lawyers are probably going to say is, look, there's no explanation, and there really couldn't be a valid explanation because the ruling's so wrong. There's no case law supporting what they have to say.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. And just very quickly, because so far nobody knows what's going to happen with Bill Cosby, nor the 50-plus women that are accusing him of very, very horrible things. And I would just hope that maybe some or all of these 50-plus women, I mean, they've all gave their story many, many times, but don't you just wish that maybe they would do a public service announcement and just tell every young, old, medium-aged woman, call the police, report the crime, just report the crime. I mean, I just think it would help. And that's all I have to say. So thank you.
Well, first of all, before you hang up, let me wish your sister Beth all the best in her quest and her battle.
Thank you.
I certainly think about, as having gone through it, I think about everyone that's gone ahead of me and everyone that's still in the fight.
Thank you very much.
But as to your question, certainly, I mean, we have, this stigma associated with so many different things, and reporting crimes of a sexual nature is one of them. The women don't, even in domestic violence situations, they don't want the man to get in trouble. Maybe these women feared that they wouldn't be believed because of who Mr. Cosby was, things of that nature, or
and
whoever
that just
the person
has to
is.
end. It just has to end.
If it's the star of the football team and the high school cheerleader, nobody's going to believe, or she doesn't want to come forward and say it. There's no doubt about it, but that's a sad reality of crimes of this nature. So,
well, thank you very, very much. Good night to you, best to you, and good night, King. Hugs and kisses.
Thanks, Sarah, for always
good night.
calling
Bye-bye.
in. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go out to area code is 770. Please state your name and where you're calling from. Your line is now open. 770. It's your turn.
This is Madam Whippass, and I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. I just have like one or two comments to Mr. Nurmi.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
My name is Madam Whippass.
Okay.
So my comment to Mr. Nurmi is, one, I think you should have named your book Trapped with the Devil. And then two, when you talk about Jodi discussed her vaginal grooming, well, that falls in line with the video that I have out called Jodi Arias, The Power of Demonic Coochie. So I'm not surprised at all that you had such an experience with her. So you might want to listen to that video. It exposes how she was, things were just going on with the unseen eye when she was on the stand, how she was connecting with the men. And so I wasn't surprised that quite a few male jurors became smitten with her. That's pretty much all of my comments I want to make. I think as a defense lawyer, hey, you did your job. You did the best you could. I felt for you trying to get off the case, and the judge would not allow you to leave. I felt your pain. But at the end of the day, you're a defense attorney, and you did your job. You did what you had to do. And thank you for that. Bye-bye.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
You want to respond to that, Kirk?
No, I mean, look, I'll say that she said a lot of interesting things, but I will say, look, even in all of these high-profile cases, the defense attorneys are always cast as the bad guys. And I think in our constitutional system, whether it's me or anybody else, have to realize that we are the people that are enforcing the rights, that are standing between the government and the liberty of the citizens, and we are one of enforcing the rights that the Constitution guarantees us. And people should probably have a different viewpoint of defense attorneys, in my opinion.
Okay, let's go out to area code 318. Please state your name and where you're calling from. Your line is now open. 318. It's your turn.
Yeah, this is DJ.
Hi, DJ. Where are you calling from?
Dallas.
Where?
Dallas, Texas.
Okay. Hi again.
Mr.
Question
Nurmi,
of what?
I got a question. I did read your book. I actually read it twice.
Okay.
I was wondering why you went and showed your business card to your new law firm, to Jodi, and sat there for 45